of those things where you never knew how to talk about it. You never knew whether to talk about it. I think she felt the same way, so it was always like this elephant in the room, right? Where she probably didn't want to bring it up because she didn't want to bring other people down, and you didn't want to bring it up because you didn't want to bring her down, and you didn't, if she wasn't thinking about it, you didn't want to create a situation where she was thinking about it. And as I'm watching her decline, I'm thinking maybe it's because I'm 46 and I'm starting to ponder these things more and more, but I want to know what this is like. Like, what is this experience like? But I'm afraid to ask because of all the reasons I just said. But finally one day we were sitting in the kitchen and I got up the courage to ask, and I said to her, I asked her if she would be open to sharing her experience with me. And it was amazing because I think she was just almost desperate for somebody to ask. And she told me some of the most amazing wisdom. And as we were talking, I asked her if she was able to see any gifts in all of this, in this darkness, in this terrible experience. And she said that she absolutely was able to, in the sense that all the baggage, regret, shame, mistakes made, paths not taken, whatever, she let it all go. She was finally able to just let that all go. And because she realized how little it actually mattered. And then she also said, I don't, as much as, I know what's coming, and it's coming for all of us, she said, I don't know if I have 5 weeks, I don't know if I have 5 months, and I don't know if I'm going to be hit by a car tomorrow. And so I don't worry about the future. And I finally realized that all we actually have is this moment right now. And as I listened to her talk about this, it was so, I guess, ironic in the sense that in this, in the face of her own imminent death, she really unlocked the key to living most fully. And that, for me, that was an incredibly powerful thing. And then just last week when my father-in-law came down to do some visit and do some final sort of final preparations, he was talking about how he's starting to, he's got a new place and he's going to move out of the apartment and all their condo they were in. And so I was asking him, if he's a stoic German guy, doesn't really talk a lot, and I was asking him, is one of the reasons that you're moving out, does it have anything to do with like the memory, the bad memories or anything like that? And he said something that was really, really surprising to me. And it was that, so during her illness, what he did was he brought his, incredible German engineer precision to making sure that every aspect of her care was the absolute highest standard. He was there every minute of every day. And in fact, when they would come and visit us, she would talk about how unbelievably grateful she was for her husband. To be in that position of utter vulnerability and to know that you have someone, a man of this caliber, who will make sure that you are cared for at the absolute highest level. What a gift. And she was so profoundly grateful for it. And so when I asked him about the memories, what he said was that, he said they're not all bad, actually. They're not all bad. And so when I asked him about why, what he explained to me was, it gave me the opportunity to care for her in the most important and meaningful way that I have ever cared for her in our entire relationship. And in some ways, in those last months, we became closer than we have ever been. And so I thought, man, that's another incredible gift. In this specter of death, this incredible gift of two people who've been together for so long, having the opportunity to come together in a really profoundly connecting way. And so that was a really eye-opening conversation. And then, interestingly, another experience related to that same story was one my beautiful wife had, who's sitting over here. And so before her mother died, she talked to her about, come back as something, and just give me a sign sometime when you come back, And her mother made a joke about coming back as a butterfly. My wife told her that was lame. And so she was going to come back as something different. And so a few weeks ago, when her father-in-law was down, again, that same day, planning making some final preparations, we live in the middle of the city in Wortley Village. And for the first time this ever happened, actually, she woke up, she heard crunching on the driveway, thinking it was some kind of person trying to steal a bike or something. She got up, and I was out of town, she got up and went out, and there was a deer on her driveway. Yeah, and so the deer walked in our backyard, and that moment, for Tanya was extremely powerful because she chose to see it as a connection to her mom. And so what's been a really interesting part of her experience is that she chooses to see her mom all around her, right? So whether it's the bird singing, whether it's that deer, maybe it's the wind through the trees. So the gift is that she is able to appreciate the beauty all around her in a much more meaningful way than she might have been able to if this hadn't happened. So every day her mom is gone, and yet somehow every day has the potential to be even a little bit more beautiful and a little bit more important. And then one last story about my wife is that yesterday, we have these, in our culture, we have these stories that we tell ourselves about what death is supposed to mean and how we're supposed to grieve and how we're supposed to act and all those things. And I think it puts a lot of pressure on people. And so as we had this beautiful celebration of life yesterday, people come and they're very emotional. And Tanya had the ability to, because she chose to look at her mother's life and death as her journey, and to not feel like she was ripped off or anything like that. She just looked at it as, her journey. And so she was able to bring this compassion and presence and support and kindness to people who are hurting. And she is hurting too. But she was able to bring them something that was really important to them yesterday. And I watched a woman, I don't know what to say, maybe become a little bit more of an adult. I don't know, but it was amazing to watch her have the opportunity to provide that kind of comfort and care and support to a group of people that really needed it. And that's a gift. And so I guess the moral of the story is, I guess I'll say too that I've had that whole experience, from the death of my first wife. I've seen over the last 9 years, and just so many gifts that have come out of it. I'm a much better human being. I've been able to serve more people through all of the misery and grief and, battling alcohol and all those things that I went through as a result of it. It's given me a chance to make a contribution to everybody, to humanity, in a way that I never would have had otherwise. And I'm able to look at that experience now, look back and say, was it a tragedy? Sure, it was a tragedy. I more think of it actually now as something that actually just happened, and everything else is really a story we make up around it. But it's been, so it was a tragedy, sure, and it's also been a gift. And it took me a long time to hold those, to recognize that you can hold both of those seemingly contradictory ideas at the same time. It's okay, you can do that. And so we're all going to be faced with these crucible experiences. We're going to lose people who are close to us. Bad things are going to happen. And we can, what I want to leave you with is we have immense power as human beings in how we choose to tell the stories about what those mean. And in that when things are incredibly challenging, we might do things that we regret terribly. We might behave in a way that is awful. And you know what? You're not the only one. And when you find the courage to just start talking openly about some of those things that happened, maybe some of those things that you did, maybe some of those things that you learned along the way, what you will find is that you are surrounded by people that need to hear what you have to say, and that everybody goes through this stuff, every single one of us. So I want to leave you with the fact that those experiences, those crucible experiences, are a tremendous opportunity. They might be immensely painful, but they are a tremendous opportunity to serve our fellow human beings. And even in something as, tragic as death, there are huge gifts if you choose to look for them. Thanks.